Well, there's the old method, and then there's the new green method. Most people, if you just said those two things, would say, oh yeah, that green method's got to cost a lot of money. The fact of the matter is that a green demolition will save you a lot of money. And here's how. If you're tearing down a building that is substantial, and I'll give you an example, right here in Florida, in Orlando, we tore down a 330,000 square foot building that was block, and it was used as a warehouse, and there was office space in it. And what we did by doing a green demolition is we salvaged all the metal, we salvaged all the parts and pieces that were in that building that could be salvaged. They were sold as scrap. And there's a tremendous amount of steel in these buildings. Then with the block, and here's an interesting side story about the block, this building was 60 years old. So it had not only lead paint on the block, it had mercury on the block, because way back they used to put mercury in paint along with the lead. So we had a problem. How do I, in a 300,000 square foot building plus, how do I get all that material off the block to make it so that I could do something with it? Or my choice is to take that block and load it in trucks and ship it over 20 miles to a landfill that will accept it because it has lead in it and mercury. So what we did was we took all that block, and right on site we brought in a company and we sold all that material, all the concrete, the block and the concrete floors, everything. We sold that material to a company for $64,000. And they came in and they crushed all that material on site, and they crushed it to what's called number 57, which is subbase. All that material from that particular job was the under subbase of one of the parking lots at Animal Kingdom. What happens is by crushing that, and you go test it because it's crushed into small pieces, the readings on the test fall well within the legal limits. So instead of paying $800,000 to truck all this stuff 20 miles round trip, we were able to save that money, which amounted to about $800,000. The Amway Center in Orlando was a scary one. This was a first for us, and that was a demolition that was a controlled explosion. So because we did not have that experience, we went out and found a contractor, ZMG Construction, who had that experience, and we partnered with them. And they brought in a blasting company, and we spent probably 5 months cleaning out things from the interior of the building, trying to get it down to just the structure itself, concrete and steel, as much as possible. They sold the seats, they sold almost everything in there. People came and bought it. And so they set all the charges. Now the next problem we have is that underneath that Amway Center runs the city of Orlando's main water line in a tunnel. So there's a tunnel underneath the Amway Center. How do I drop a roof that's over 100 feet high down onto the floor where that tunnel is? So what we did is we brought sand in, and we dumped load after load after load of sand and built a pile of sand of about 10 feet tall over those areas, right down the center of that tunnel on the concrete floor. And so when we dropped the building, you had the implosion and the building dropped. What happened was anything that hit that pile of dirt that ran the whole length basically TP'd. So the dirt TP'd it, so it absorbed all the fall, so that you didn't do any damage to the tunnel below. And within an hour after that blast, we actually were in that tunnel inspecting to make sure there was no problems and everything was just fine. I believe that building was only 23 years old. We demolished that on March 25th, 2012.